to another lesson here. Thank you for your membership, and we'll dive right in. So this lesson is about how to approach interpreting and developing your ideas from a lead sheet. Um, so this is really kind of all levels. You know, you could, as a beginner, you start learning about it, but then as you grow, you're always learning from a lead sheet and the things that are able to come out from that lead sheet, and the things you experience by doing certain things. So a lead sheet is basically a chart with the melody and the harmony dictated above it. And so I strongly urge, if you don't have one, is to get a real book. It's got a ton of these tunes from the old American songbook, and it's just a great way to practice jazz. You know, so it's probably the most important part of my upbringing when it comes to this kind of music, and specifically like when playing in a jazz piano setting, solo jazz piano. So I've chosen the tune "Time After Time," which is a classic Jules Stein from the American Songbook. And so let me play a little bit of that melody, and we'll kind of dive right in. So the melody is, I'm not going to play the chords, but I'll play the melody and the bass. So we'll just focus on the first 8 bars. I think that's a good start. Now, one thing that I like to do when I'm teaching, kind of approaching learning tunes from a lead sheet, is that I like to break it down into 3 parts: the bass part, the voicing, and then the melody. And because the melody is at the top, that means that how you play the voicing is really affected by the range of where the melody is. For example, if the melody's down here, and we're going with with this concept of bass, voicing, the voicing being in the middle, and then the melody. If you have your melody here, it's going to make it a little bit more difficult. So sometimes you have to change the range and the octave of the melody, and that's important to really think about throughout this whole process. So on this chart, you have it up there on the screen. The melody's here, but I'm gonna play it here just because you can, and it's gonna make it easier for me to fit some of these voicings. Remember, this range here around middle C is your sweet spot for voicings. You know, so just something to consider. Now, there's gonna be exceptions always. You know, so just kind of take things as they go. So bass, voicing, melody. So let's dive right in, these 8 bars. So I purposely didn't play the chords earlier because I want to focus in on that. Let's look at the first 2 bars. Actually, let's just look at the first chord. So your C major 7. Now, in a previous lesson, we talked about how your C major 7 is these notes. But your voicing is not going to be this. Your voicing is going to be maybe the so what chord that we talked about in one of the other lessons. So I'm going to use that voicing here because it works, you know. Right? So what I did there is I played the melody and the bass note and then the voicing. So that's always a good useful way to approach playing this way, you know. And then let's just say that the next chord I want to play with the melody at the same time. So the melody's here now. So right here I want to add the chord at the same time. So what I would do, the beautiful thing about playing these tunes is sometimes you could add notes, as long as it doesn't hinder the melody and the rest of the music. But the chord is A minor 7, but I'm going to make it an A minor 9. So what you can do here maybe is play something like this. So that's the chord. Now I don't have the bass note in there yet. And sometimes you don't have to play the bass note. You know, it's kind of implied. Or you could play it. Maybe you can play it after, slightly after. Sorry. So I'll do it slowly. So what I did there is the C. I played the voicing and the melody together, and then I played the bass note shortly after that. So I'll do it slow again. The first bar. One more time. So you could do that, or you could even do the same thing we did at the beginning there on the A minor. You played the root and the melody and then the voicing. So let's go back slowly. So to the C major. One more time. Voicing, bass melody, voicing. And notice what I'm doing here is this is the A minor 9. But this is an inversion, you know. You could do that too, you know, E, G, B, C, or G, B, C, E. I like the crunch of that sound there. I'm gonna do the same thing here, bass note melody on the second measure. Notice whenever I do the voicing, I try to avoid the root position of that voicing. So like instead of that, I like this better, you know, or even making it a 9, or playing that 9 in an inversion. And the 9, I'm not playing the root because the root's down here. So often you don't need to double the bass note, you know. Or you have a lot of inversions to work with when you give yourself enough room in this area. Now let's do something like where you play everything together at the same time. So on this tune, beat 4 of the second bar, let's try to play everything together there. So what I would probably do is do like a roll. It's like, so your bass is there, your melody is there, and then with dominant sevenths, I don't know if you guys remember, but you always want to have 3rd and 7th, 7th and 3rd. That's always the rule with the dominant 7. So the G7, that would be an F and a B, or B and F, any inversion of that, but we'll keep that here because it's at a good location. So G, the root, F, B. Now, in another lesson we played some extensions, so I want to do that. So we played the 13th. If you remember the lesson with the 2 fingers, the 4-finger voicing. So here, G7, there's your 7th, your 3rd, 13, flat 9. And then your melody would be here. So we're sticking with that concept of bass, voicing, and melody. So I don't have large hands, but I would probably end up rolling that. For you guys that have smaller hands, that could probably work. So that note, I'm playing together with the bass and the voicing. So all that together. Good. So yeah, if you think about it in 3 different parts, that's a good way to approach playing from a lead sheet. So let me keep going. The next 2 bars are the same chords, different melody, but maybe we can do the same thing. Now, when we get to that B half diminished, maybe I voiced it that way. And then when we get to that next chord, notice that the D is tied still, so you can keep that there, and then really you have an opportunity for a really spread out E7, you know, where you don't have to play this note again. So let me show you what I did there. So E, basically that in my left hand is just an E with there's the B, and the G sharp is up here instead of down here, but I kind of spread it out. And then let me show you these notes. So here, there's your 7, there's your flat 9, and then that would be your sharp 11. To really lush, you know, being able to use this range a lot, fully, I mean. So let me play all that together, the first 8 bars. Sounds really nice. And anytime you can add, you know, these extensions, these flat 9s and your sharp 11s within, in the voicing, as long as it kind of fits with the melody, that's always a plus, you know. It just really adds a lot of color if you can do that. Now sometimes that's nice to just keep it very, very simple as well. So that's one of the ways that I approached playing from a lead sheet. Now obviously there's things like how fast you're playing. Sometimes if you're playing a fast tune, sometimes you have to leave stuff out, and that's okay, you know. You don't have to play every chord. And then sometimes you have to kind of tailor the melody so that you play, if you want to play some certain voicings, and maybe the melody has to be changed a little bit, you know, your interpretation of the melody. Another thing on standards, this goes back to one of the lessons we talked about, the 1-6-2-5 voicings. You're seeing the 1-6-2-5 here, the 1-6-2-5 chord progression, and notice that the A, as I spoke in one previous lesson, the A is minor here, but you could make it dominant. Now, if you were to make it dominant, so like let's look at the first bar again. So let's play the first chord. So we're talking about making it dominant. Meaning that that's going to happen here, obviously. Your melody is a C natural, so if you're playing a dominant, that means that is going to be the sharp 9, which is going to make it a different kind of color, and that's okay. But you still can do that because it works. You know, dominant, it would be an altered, an A7 sharp 9. So like again, you need your 3rd and 7th. Here's your, or 7th and 3rd. So maybe I do that. The 7th and the 3rd. I chose a sharp 5. If you want to play it all together, so you got the root, melody, and then your 7th and 3rd, sharp 5. So that works. The other one was this. Now, so there's no right or wrong, it's just about choice at this point. In a 1-6-2-5, your 6 can be minor or dominant. And also your 2. So if you look at your 2 there, like the second bar, again, your melody is here, here's the bass note. Remember, we're talking if this is going to be a dominant 7, so you need your 3rd and 7th, 7th and 3rd. Let's go 3rd and 7th this time. And just for kicks, let's add a sharp 9. let's see what that sounds like if we do that. The root and the melody, D7 sharp 9. So let's go back. And then that chord. So as you see, you have some options there. And anytime you can find harmonic possibilities like that, where it's a little bit of a change, that's another thing that I look for whenever I'm interpreting some of this music. I hope that helps. Just think about it in 3 parts: bass, voicing, and melody. Remember, your dominant sevenths definitely need to have third and seventh, seventh and third. If you have any questions, please let me know. That's a good start. And honestly, the best thing for you is to just kind of try to read as many standards, dive into it. You're gonna learn a lot from the errors that you make, the mistakes that you make. But in the long run, you start to pick up on some things that you like and that you use over and over again, or that you could choose from in the moment when you're playing. So let me know your questions. I hope that helps, and thanks again. And there'll be another lesson on this for sure. So thanks again. See you guys.